heard about the South African $1 million? No, not the golf tournament, but the pigeon race. It is probably one of the biggest races in the world. And yes, it's racing pigeons.
$1 million race at Sunset, well, it used to be Sun City, it's now in the Vault Triangle. It's known as the Pigeon Olympics of the world. It's a very tough race, and our conditions are the reason for that, because we've got a very dry climate. They fly it in summer, so it's hot and it's dry, and I can assure you the pigeon fanciers all over the world send their birds. We have about 7,000 birds that arrive, and about 3,500 go to the final race. And the whole world, I mean, remember, you pay $1,000 entry fee. Nobody's going to send a bird that he doesn't believe can win. Obviously, prize money $1 million, first prize 200,000 US, and obviously coverage all over the world. If you win that race, you're known everywhere. It's a massive sport. You know, we've got over 4,000 pigeon fanciers in South Africa. They fly pigeons, and unfortunately, we've never got the coverage that we deserved. You know, because you know, if we look at the GDP contribution and what we do for our country with regards to sport, the jobs that we create, the sport should actually be highlighted a lot more than what it does. And obviously, you know, we as competitive as anybody else. I mean, this is my life. It's a passion. We've been flying pigeons for 110 years in South Africa. My great-grandfather was in the World War, and he actually managed the pigeon loft in Egypt. And that was at that point the only form of communication in the World War. We are the trainers, we are the feed analysts, and we race them competitively. So my birds, you know, I'll get them into form, in condition. All of them are little athletes. Can you imagine having 300 Usain Bolts and you managing them and you're getting them into condition? We pair them up, we fly them on eggs and babies. So it's a very integrated, I actually want to say it's a very intellectual sport.
Let's take a little walk around here. Tell us what this place is all about and how you get ready, I suppose, for race day. I'm sure it's a couple of years in the making.
Yeah, come and tell you what happens is, if you look at the loft as we have it now, the loft is a racing loft that we have here. We have the breeding loft, obviously that's in a different venue. So we'll breed the babies. We then take the babies and we put them into the race loft, and then we home them. If you look behind us, you will see there's a net, and those birds are currently being homed in the net. So they need to get used to their surroundings. If you look at the birds on the right-hand side here, these birds have been homed over the last week. So they've been outside, in the loft, outside, and we feed them obviously inside, and they take that as their own home, you know, because that's where they get food, and that's where they know to go. And you'll see now they're starting to venture onto the roofs, and once they start doing that, then we know they've accepted the home. They will go from one roof to another, and eventually they go up. And when they start going up, then we are ready now to train them. So the training process is quick. We have a guy standing in the yard, and he will chase them. He literally chases them up, and they start flying. And with time, what we'll do is we'll train them for 15 minutes initially. It's like an athlete starting a program. He can't run 100 kilometers immediately. What you do is he starts with 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, and exactly what we do here. We train them for 15 minutes, then we train them for a half an hour, up to 2 hours. When they start doing 2 hours, they get very, very aggressive, in the sense that they go 10 kilometers away from the loft, and then they come back and they go 10 kilometers over the loft. And at that point, we then start taking them to the road. We put them in baskets, we take them to the road, and we'll go 15 kilometers, 20, 30, 40, and they get confidence, and we can see the confidence up until the point that we are ready to race them when they get to 200 or 300 kilometers.
So the saying goes, as free as a bird. So how exactly do you get a pigeon to race for you?
We will then identify the birds that are going to the race. They've got electronic rings on. They have a ring which we put on when they're very small, which is basically their ID, and we link the two rings, and that they are married for life. The electronic rings data is captured on the clock. That information is then sealed, and when we take the bird to the club, we take our clock with. At the club, we will now register the bird into the race. So it knows that bird number 1, 2, 3 is in the race, and it's in race 1. The truck will go to a predetermined place, for example, Bloemfontein. Let's take that as an example. When the truck arrives there, they do coordinates, longitude, latitude, so we know exactly what the coordinates at race point is. Pre-season at my home, they'll do longitude and latitude at my home, at your home, and at everybody else that's involved in the federation. So we know, to my house it's 400 kilometers, to yours it's 410, the other guy's 415. The birds get liberated at a predetermined time. So let's say 7 o'clock. They all come out. We first give them water, because obviously we love our animals. We let them out. They start chasing for home. Mine will fly to my house, yours to your house, and all the other members to theirs. And then what happens when he arrives, we've got electronic scanners. And when the bird arrives, he goes over the scanner, and it timestamps the time he arrived and which bird arrived. Okay. So that information is now captured. I take my clock to the club. When I get to the club, we download the information. And then it's basic mathematics. It's time over distance, which gives you meters per second. The bird with the highest meters per second wins the race. And obviously that's me. Hopefully.
Well, your pigeons have made you a lot of money over the years, but I presume it's very hard work and patience is needed. You have them from babies, obviously, because you breed the pigeons.
Yeah, we breed the pigeons. Yeah, look, there's a lot of patience, there's a lot of love involved. I want to tell you, my birds love me and I love them. You know, people have come to my home and they've said, yes, Mark, you've got 300 birds. They all look the same. I know every single one. They've got different personalities. I can tell you their ring numbers. If you catch one of my birds, I'll tell you what the ring number is, because I know them, because I spend so much time with them. So yeah, it's a very involved sport and a loving sport. And yes, you can make a lot of money. You can. I won the $1 million race in 2011. It was great for South Africa, because at that stage, the Germans and the international guys were killing us. They were literally killing us. And I won the race, and I won $200,000. So it's a couple of hamburgers you can buy with that. And yeah, locally, we have local competitions. We fly for cars. We fly for prize money. You know, a lot of guys say to me, where's the prize money come from? Obviously, you enter your bird and you pay an entry fee.
How many pigeons do you have? I know you have a couple of lofts. So how many do you have under your wing?
If you look at this loft behind us, we have, I would say, approximately 500 pigeons here. At my own home, I've got 350 racing pigeons. My other loft in Boksburg, I've got 250 racing pigeons. Breeding pairs, we've got at KitchenBrand Lofts, we've got about 300 breeding pairs. And obviously what then happens is, you know, guys say breeding pairs. People phone us and say, we want to start in the sport. Can you breed us some babies? Businessmen come here and they say, they don't want to have their own stock birds. Can we breed them babies for next season? And that's what we then offer. We breed the best with the best. And then at my home, I've got about 50 breeding pairs that are select birds that I breed from. So yeah, you know, it's a lot of birds. And yes, we have a lot of staff that obviously assist us. I mean, you know, people don't understand that the pigeon sport, we employ more people than any other sport.
Mark, so let's talk about the massive purchase that you made. I think you were headline news for a week or so. 5 million rand on a pigeon. You don't hear that every day.
No, you don't hear that every day. And it was a strategy. Quite honestly, we planned it for 4 years. We said to ourselves, we actually spoke to people at the platform where we bought the bird. We spoke to them and we said we want to buy the most expensive bird in the world. Now, there's a strategy behind that. Obviously, the marketing side. I am known worldwide by everybody in the pigeon industry. And that is a marketing ploy, obviously, for people to be aware of you, your brand, and then to contact us and obviously support us. The second thing is the awareness, to make people aware of what the sport's about. You know, I don't think there's a South Africa now that doesn't know pigeon sport exists. And then obviously, from Samuel's point of view, the awareness for black communities and improving the sport and making them understand. You cannot believe how many phone calls I've had from young black boys saying that I've heard that you want to do this. Can I be part of it? It was a strategy. And then the last thing is the genetics. You know, we improve our pigeons every single year. We bring in new genetic lines to improve. I mean, you can imagine, you know, Marion Jones and Usain Bolt together, what you're going to get, you know. And that's what we're basically doing. We're taking the best pigeon ever on the long distance in Belgium, and we're mating it to our genetic lines to get better pigeons, so we can win races, because winning is everything for a pigeon fancier. I mean, but I think that's a South African thing. We don't like losing.
No, we don't, especially to the Aussies.
Yeah, especially to the Aussies.
So I've had a bit of a history with pigeons. Do your neighbors hate you having so many pigeons here?
You know, not at all, because the birds don't make a noise. I mean, you can hear. It's not like they're chickens, that they make noises. We clean the lofts every single day. So my neighbors actually, you know, their kids, when I look again, the kids are hanging over the wall and they're into the yard. And so, yeah, no, they don't make a noise. And generally, while we're homing them, they're outside. But when we're racing, the birds go into a routine. So they'll go out for exercise. They will go immediately back into the loft. We'll feed them. We'll give them their nutritions. And then they sit in the loft for the whole day. And that's where they want to be. Their nest mates and their partners are all in the loft. And it's cooler in the loft. So, and the food's in the loft. So that's where they want to be. They don't want to come outside.
Many people think that pigeons aren't very intelligent animals.
No, they're definitely intelligent. I promise you now. You know, if I have a bad day at the office and I walk into my loft, you can see the birds actually scatter. They know that it's not Mark that's walking into the loft. And then as my attitude changes, they actually come closer. So they're very intelligent. They've got feelings, they've got emotion. I mean, birds, you will see when a bird comes on form, especially a cock, he all of a sudden, his whole personality changes. So they're very intelligent. The fact that they can home, I mean, they can smell 900 kilometers, they smell the area, they can see 50 kilometers. Like I said to you, their body weight, they can change, you know, every day double their body weight. They can see 340 degrees. I mean, can you imagine me taking you 900 kilometers and leaving you without signboards? Where are you going to end up? So no, they're very intelligent, and you can see that in their personalities.
How do you know a pigeon is ready for race?
What happens is a bird comes into form and condition. So we'll look at certain key elements on the bird. We'll look at the color of his flesh. We'll look at his color of his breastbone. We'll look inside the throat. In the throat, you know, there's a little gap where they breathe. And in that gap, we can actually see if the gap is very narrow, the bird has a good breathing. We will look onto his wings. We'll have a look if he's got oil marks. So there's a couple of key things when you look at pigeons. And then the best way to watch is the week before, we'll take them out. And we'll put our clocks on and we'll clock them in training mode, and we'll see which birds are flying in front, and we select from that.
Do your birds have names, and which is the pigeon that has brought you the most success?
Well, I want to say to you, birds that win get names.
Okay.
You know, I mean, the more they win, the more you love them, and the quicker they get a name. So I think the most special bird for me ever was Birdie. I bought her at the $1 million race in 2008. At the time, she was a world record. I paid $800,000 for her. And I'll never forget, all the South Africans are going saying, "You mad? How can you do that?" Birdie, obviously, I've bred from her. I've raised her offspring. They've won for me. They've won for many people in South Africa. And Birdie gave me a very good return on investment. So I loved her. She was the most special bird. And you will not believe me, 8 years later, I sold her on the Piper platform for 1.1 million, more than what I paid. And she had earned me money in the meantime. So yeah, she's special in my heart. She was an exceptional pigeon.
So when you bought Golden Prince, everyone was, why would you spend 5 million rand on a bird? How does the return work? Because you're spending 5 million rand, do you get that kind of money back?
Yes, well, definitely. What we'll do is, like I said, we will mate her, mate the bird to 2 hens. And because it's a cock, you can actually give him more than 2 hens. So we will get about 20 to 30 babies a year from him. And you're looking at about between 15 and 20,000 euro a baby. So if you do the maths, if you're getting 20 times 20, it's 400,000 euro per year. Obviously, there are costs involved. There are commissions and all of these things. We've calculated it. We should get a return within 18 to 24 months of all our money back. And after that, the bird can still breed for 10 years. And what happens is, when you own the most expensive bird in the world, it lifts the value of the rest of your birds. because people see you differently and they perceive you differently. So all of a sudden, a bird that you would have sold for 5,000 Rand, now you sell him for 10 because you have this brand.
And then just lastly, in researching for this interview, there were a couple of animal rights activists that said that bird racing or pigeon racing is illegal. Maybe some owners don't look after their birds. Maybe just a comment on that.
Yeah, I want to tell you something. That's not the case. We love our pigeons, and we spend a fortune on our pigeons, and we give them the best facilities. I mean, look how lovely they're bathing. So that's not true. Yes, birds get lost. That is true. But there are elements out there that we have no control over. To say that pigeon fanciers don't care for the birds and don't feed them, that's not true. You know, for example, KitchenBrand Lofts, we go out we've got our own pigeon magazine, which we publish nationally. And a lot of guys approach us and say, listen, we're battling, you know, we financially are, you know, it's going tough in our country and a lot of things are happening. And we will always be willing to give them food, to help them feed the birds, or to relocate them to somebody else. You know, we've had guys saying, I can't carry on flying pigeons. Can you sell our birds for us? Or can you help us? And we obviously help them. I think that if you go and look at other animals like dogs and whatever, I think there's a lot of abuse there. But generally with pigeons, it's not the case. NSPCA wouldn't want you to raise any animal. Remember something, the difference between a horse and a pigeon is the horse has got a jockey on his back telling him to run. When we liberate these pigeons in Bloemfontein, if he wants to go and sit in the tree, you're not going to tell him not to. If he wants to go and sit at the dam and drink, you're not going to say to him, listen buddy, you must fly. He flies because he wants to. And he flies for the love of his loft and his owner. And that is the difference between racing a pigeon and a greyhound or anything else. Our pigeons fly because they want to. They've got wings for a reason. God gave them wings to fly.
Just lastly, I can't believe these are babies.
Yeah, these are babies. They're yearlings. They mature very quickly. Just to give an example, when we put a male and a female together, within 10 days the female will lay, generally. Then within 21 days the baby will hatch, and then within 24 days the bird's got all the feathers, the wings, everything. A bird doubles its body weight from birth every day. So within 21 days he can drink, he can eat, and he can fly. So yeah, these birds are, like I said, 2 months and 3 months old. They're now ready to be trained and to be raced.
Mark, thank you for taking time to speak to us and welcoming us into your loft. I've been so enriched and so enlightened by this, and thank you for helping the country.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, these pigeons have certainly brought Mark a lot of luck, and I certainly hope that they'll do the same for me. Mahreen Chenya in Alberton for ANN7.